Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I say all three because whether you are joining us live or later on demand, we want to welcome you to our first session of the Insight 2021 webinar series. We are so excited to bring an all-star team together with you to talk personally about starting your own trucking business. Why now is the time and this is the place. My name is Leah Shaver, and I'll serve as host and moderator of our expert panel. I want to thank you for what you are doing to keep our country moving through this difficult time. Thank you to those of you who work from sunup to sunset and all the time before, after, and in between, especially taking the time to join us today. During the coronavirus pandemic, the recent winter storm that left roads undrivable, store shelves unstocked, truck stops and amenities closed, as professional truck drivers continue to deliver necessities across North America. I am cheering for you. I worry about you. I hope the best for you. And today, we are all so happy to connect with you. Next slide. Before we introduce our panelists and we give attendees a moment to join us, we wanted to share a couple of notes about today's webinar. First of all, the Insight 2021 online series is being presented by Expediter Services. ES is a leader in capacity solutions and ownership opportunities. Expediter Services is pleased to have Stoops Freightliner serve as the title sponsor for the Insight 2021. Our webinar series is only part of the Insight 2021. ES is also producing the Insight 2021 podcast series. Through the podcast, we offer listeners an in-depth look at key issues and opportunities in the trucking industry. To listen to the podcast series and to get on the latest news on the Insight 2021, please visit the web address on your screen. I want to share a couple of pointers about the webcast platform that we're using today. First of all, if you're viewing on your phone, we recommend that you turn your phone to the side or the landscape position. This will give you the widest possible screen for viewing all slides. We've included the contact information for ES and the ES web address at the bottom of every slide. This is a live webcast, and we are taking your questions. If you have an ask or interest, please send it to us through the question platform. We're planning to answer some of your questions at the end of the event if we have time. If we're not able to answer live during the session, we will respond via email. Lastly, if you're watching the replay of today's webcast, I still encourage you to submit your questions through the question platform, as well as those will be answered by email. Now, if you happen to encounter a technical issue during today's event, use the question platform, describe the technical issue you're experiencing. We have a dedicated team member who's going to respond to you and address the technical issue related to the platform. Next slide. Joining me for today's discussion are Jason Williams, President of Expediter Services, Jeff Tacker, Chief Operating Officer of Expediter Services, Nate Meyer with Equipment Sales at Stoops Freightliner, and Ken and Jessica Horn, truck owners in the ES community. Next slide. Let's do some brief introductions as we get started. This is me. I own and operate the National Transportation Institute, where we serve information and support to folks that employ or contract with professional drivers or work with companies that do. We aim to deliver opportunities for fleets to grow, to attract additional workers, and then expand in their marketplace with that appropriately compensated, engaged, and retained workforce. We also work with other vendor service organizations and help them expand in the trucking industry. I serve as an officer on the board of directors of the Women in Trucking Association. I chair their membership committee, and I'm part-time as a talk radio host on SiriusXM's Road Dog Trucking Radio, channel 146. You can catch me live the first Thursday of every month from 4 to 7 Eastern on Road Dog Live and on demand on the SiriusXM app with a number of shows I've hosted recently. When it comes to the topic at hand, for 26 years, NTI has concentrated our studies on professional drivers, best practices, and programs. We analyze nearly every aspect that relates to professional drivers, from before you entered the industry, to training, to perks, to programs, to owner-operator success, and everything that impacts the trucking industry and market. And most importantly, what influences your paycheck, like capacity, supply, and demand. Successful organizations have to monitor rapidly changing conditions, manage their expectations, and leave room to pivot when necessary. It's crucial at all times to monitor economic conditions that impact your business and align yourself with folks that protect your business by knowing your business and supporting your goals and knowledge during both certain and uncertain times. Despite the pandemic, we're operating in an environment that I've been quoted referring to as 2018 with many complications. We have incredibly high demand, rates continue to escalate, but we are net short capacity in most markets. Next slide. Jason, I'm going to hand it off to you to reintroduce the ES family of companies and why potential owners want to be on the front side of this curve, establishing, building foundational growth, and then we'll pass the mic to Jeff to share a little bit more about the community.
Thank you, Leah, and good afternoon. ES does have several companies that support this effort when we are specific about truck ownership or business startups. And so what we've done is created a community, whether it be through Expediter Management Services, our equipment finance, our truck sales, some insurance partners that we brought to the table in order to allow people to come in and have a community. And we like using that word, and we mean it in the fullest intent of that word. But a community to grow within and be safe, be stable, be profitable, and have the ability to look forward and take advantage of what the market is right now. And so we do think, Leah, that right now most people have, sat out of 2019 because of freight cycles, 2020 because of, COVID and what all took place there. And now you have some pinned-up energy, and we do think it's time to go ahead and move forward. We know trucking cycles. We know that good times don't last, forever. And so to start a new business while things are on the upswing, it's safe. You have the ability to get some profits behind you, set aside some escrows, because trucking does turn down in the future. And you really don't want to be on the backside of one of those curves. And a lot of times people wait till trucking has had a good run, and then they jump in. And unfortunately, they've shortened the time to the next downturn. And there's nothing you can do about it. If you're in trucking, you know that you have to survive the ups and the downs. And so we just think the timing is right to go ahead and jump in and move forward.
Excellent. For the benefit of those that are watching out on the road, we also have one of our presenters that's out on the road. So Jess, just as I pass the mic over to Jeff to go into slide 7, I just wanted to let you know we are on slide 7, and that's ES history in our community. Jeff?
All right, thank you, Leah, for moderating this and all that you do for the trucking industry and specifically for the drivers in the trucking industry. We want to thank Nate Meyer for being on with us this morning, representing Stoops Freightliner, and especially we want to thank Ken and Jessica Horn. You'll hear from them later. They're hopefully give you some good insight of actually what takes place. But the ES community, we've been blessed to have people like Ken and Jessica, like Nate Meyer with Stoops Freightliner, like Leah Shaver. Our community has put together and is put together of people that care about trucking and trucking from the driver level up, from the ground level up. That is the intent of our community. We bring people together to support drivers, owners, fleet owners, vendors, but we do it, as we say, from the bottom to the top, not from the top to the bottom. We've been very blessed to have many, many, many good people, many good motor carriers. We have several motor carriers that support our programs, and we'll touch on those a little bit later, and you can see some of them and some of our vendors up on the slide that Leah is addressing there on the screen. And we have been able to bring people together that sometimes would be considered competitors to drive into the intent of the community and to the betterment of each individual. So the individuals make up the community, and the community supports each individual.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to advance to slide 8. At the risk of sounding cheesy, which I don't mind, I can laugh at myself first, let's get right to where the rubber meets the road. I want to briefly dive into our owners that we are featuring today. They were kind enough to accept our invitation and share some of their story and experiences with ES. And I think it makes sense to offer you a little bit of their backstory as we get further into their discussion. Ken and Jessica Horn each have more than 20 years of experience behind the wheel as professional drivers. They began their respective trucking careers as solo company drivers, and they met while working for Celadon. Not long after meeting, Ken and Jessica got married and began driving as a team for Celadon. They became owner-operators when they entered into Celadon's lease purchase program. Following the closure of the company in December of 2019, Ken and Jessica were looking for their next opportunity in trucking, and they discovered the ES Path to Ownership program, which we also call the PTO program, through their outreach with Forward Air. In January of last year, Ken and Jessica entered the PTO program at ES, and they began driving as a team with the Forward Air fleet. In October of last year, Ken and Jessica got the keys to their new 2021 Freightliner Cascadia that they are buying through the ES program. Today, Ken and Jessica own and operate their own LLC, and they are utilizing the discounts, the services, and support available through the ES community. Mr. and Mrs. Horn, thank you for joining us and sharing details that for you are really personal. What struck me when I met you was that you are not only life partners, but business partners. As a team, which I refer to as the top most in-demand type of folks out in the market today, qualifications, you could be in partnership anywhere, but you chose ES as the place. What were you looking for last year, and why did ES stand out?
ES stood out to us because with Celadon, unfortunately, we had lost our truck. So we didn't want to get into the same situation that might turn up bad for us. And with ES, you're buying your truck, you're running your business, and you're able to take your truck to another. So if Forward Air was to shut down tomorrow, I can take my truck and go, and I'm still in the program.
We have options.
And we can pay off our truck and keep it.
So you're the owner, essentially.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha. All right. Well, welcome to both of you, and we will advance to the next slide as we turn to Nate. A veteran of 22 years in trucking, Nate, you've got 2 years on me. Nate Meyer has gained a wealth of knowledge about the industry and the people behind the wheel through various positions he has held throughout his career. Today, Nate still calls upon the ground floor experience he gained during those early years while working in his current position of equipment sales for Stoops Freightliner, a division of Truck Country. Nate understands the importance of quality equipment and maintenance as he began in trucking by working within various roles in the shop. During his time in truck maintenance, Nate served as a repairs technician, worked at the parts counter, and became a service advisor before advancing to serve as the shop foreman. Nate made the transition to sales side of trucking 4 years ago for Stoops and Truck Country, which ranks as the largest Freightliner and Western Star dealership network in the United States. Nate has served as the point of contact for ES and the ES community for Stoops and Truck Country. His main area of sales focus is currently on expediter trucks and custom sleeper tractors, selling to customers throughout the country. Nate, welcome into the program, and thank you for joining us again. We asked you specifically because it happens that you worked personally with the Horns to buy their truck. We'll touch on that in a moment, but I want to point out that it's no coincidence that the community at ES has a relationship with Stoops and Truck Country, right?
No, it's not. Thank you, and thank you all for giving me the opportunity here. No, we've grown over the years, and it's been a relationship with the ES community that we've helped to grow, and we enjoy supporting them and bringing new people into the business and helping everyone out.
And how many locations does your company have today as the largest dealer group?
So currently, between the Stoops branded locations and the Truck Country branded locations, we have 24 dealerships located throughout the Midwest, and we are the largest Freightliner Western Star dealer network in the country. The Stoops branded stores are throughout Indiana, Ohio, and then we have the Truck Country branded stores in Wisconsin, Iowa, and our newest addition, which is our first store in Illinois.
Wow. Next slide. It doesn't stop at those locations, right? You are part of the vast Freightliner network.
That is correct. So, working with ES, you'll get the benefit of having the largest dealer network in the country. And the benefit for us then is also with Freightliner, you have the largest OEM footprint in the country as well, we have many more locations from coast to coast than any other OEM out there. If you look at the map on the current screen, you can pretty much see that there's really nowhere in the country that we don't have some sort of a footprint, and that's really important when you're out there and you're running coast to coast like a lot of the carriers, or like you will with the carriers that the expediter service providers go to.
Gotcha. So no matter where you are, there's coverage and linking you up within the network.
Absolutely.
All right, next slide. So Nate, I'm going to keep the focus on you here. I want to talk about inventory and some more impact of that dreadful COVID-19. There's not a surplus of ready-to-go equipment where you can order today, we'll deliver to you tomorrow, right? You don't just step out on the lot and there's, exactly what you want ready to go from one day to the next. Is that a COVID issue or a demand issue?
It's a little bit of both, and that goes on the new or the used side even. So if you just walk into a dealership and you're looking for a truck nowadays, you're just not going to find it. A lot of the issue does come from the COVID impact from last year, and the vast majority of that has to do with the supply chain and trying to bring plants back up online and catch up. And the other one is just the, Jason used the term earlier, pent-up energy, and you are seeing a lot of that, and especially from some of the bigger fleets that held off in those down cycles, and now they are, aggressively going out and pursuing trucks. So that's one benefit that you have with ES is we work with them to make sure that we have inventory available when they need it. And
there's some unique specs to the equipment that is available. Do you want to touch on that?
Sure. So a lot of you are familiar with lease purchases and been out there and worked with other companies out there on trying to lease your own trucks and become your own operators. And a lot of those trucks, they're building them as cheap as they can. Whereas with Expediter Services, we've worked with them over the years to kind of try to refine a spec that's much closer or is an owner-operator spec truck. We really try not to skimp out on any of the nice details that people would want, and at the same time, make sure that it's still a value truck. So we set them up as best we can, just the way that you would probably do as if you're coming into the dealership to try to spec a truck out on your own.
Awesome. Well, Ken and Jessica, you specifically wanted a Freightliner. Do you want to touch on your truck and your personal experience working with Nate?
Yes, ma'am. Our truck is great. We love our truck. We've got the inverter, the refrigerator, the APU, everything that we need to be comfortable out here, as well as all the new safety equipment that they have. And Nate was excellent as far as going through and making sure that we understood how to, turn things off or on when needed, how to change different specs in the truck. Also, he had called prior to and made sure that the actual specs in the computer that can't be changed on the dash were set up the way we wanted to. And he took us out, for the test drive and gave us a place that we could swap our truck over, plus a trash can. I know that sounds odd, but there's not enough trash cans when you're going to swap trucks. But on top of it, he ended up turning around and giving us extra keys to our truck because, unfortunately, I have a tendency of locking my keys in the truck. So he was wonderful just with every little aspect in buying this truck.
Sounds like it's all about the details, and especially when it comes to the personal details, even those extra keys, which I understand have come in a little handy for you.
Yes, ma'am, quite.
Not saying, but can, Now, Jeff, I'm going to put you on the spot about something that we've talked about recently, Jeff. On the topic of equipment, I'm going to throw this out to you. Can you just talk about some of the guidance here related to the options of new equipment? We often speak with folks, and they're looking at an option of new trucks with owner specs versus the lowest priced, oldest used truck. Do you want to just give some feedback on why ES has the relationship that they do with Stoops, and why a new truck? What's special about that?
Well,
Sure,
the number one thing about a new truck is when you pick it is the warranty, because the biggest expense most truck drivers have, other than the fuel, is the upkeep of the equipment. So when you're pulling out in this brand new truck, you're not worried about it breaking down. As a matter of fact, we had an issue with this truck the next day. We went back to Nate. They took it immediately into the shop, and it was just a thing in the computer, but I knew we didn't have to pay for it. It wasn't anything as to where you drive off in a used truck, the motor blows up, you're on the hook for it.
Understood. And so to that, Mr. Tacker, what do you think about a new truck versus a used or older model?
What Ms. Jessica was saying is correct. The best thing to do is to get the best you can stand to get or afford to get. And with our program, and one of the reasons we partnered with someone like Freightliner, and then specifically with the dealer network, Stoops/Truck Country, they have proven they've got the best dealership locations, plus the specs are correct. But inside, whether any truck you're looking at, it's better to get new, because most of them are coming, especially the ones that we spec'd out with Nate through Stoops. They come with the EW4 Freightliner transmission, might be a 48-month, 500,000-mile warranty on the major components, which eliminates or mitigates some of your expense lines when it comes to R&M. Your fuel usage and fuel efficiency is better. Automatic transmission, safety, everything that is set up with that truck, specifically a new truck, is geared to drive down costs and put you in a position to increase revenue. So you couple that on top of our programs with our major discounts at the largest fuel providers in the industry, and us being the low-cost provider in insurance, and having national account pricing through our national account program with Freightliners. Plus, we have other national account pricing through Goodyear Tire and Direct Tire program. So there's many things that we've done to set up to get you started on the right foot with the new piece of equipment, and then help keep you on the right path and the right foot with support of that new equipment.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to advance to the next slide, and we're going to talk about the community. Jessica and Ken, I'm going to volley back to you here. You shared with us the reasons that you chose ES for your next partnership. After 11 years leased to your previous company, what's different about working with ES?
Stress.
Yeah, there is no stress. They definitely let us know, we have a question, we have somebody we can call immediately, we can get answers to our questions. They have literally set up a program from start to finish to make sure I succeed at what we're doing. And like I said, the biggest thing is that if I have a question and somebody doesn't know it, they're going to find me an answer. Whether it be the smallest question to, hey, I'm broke down, what do I do? And it's 24/7. It's not just a Monday through Friday thing. I can get a hold of somebody at ES at any time during the day or night. So it really makes you feel secure working with them to make sure that we're able to go through. And their program is excellent. It's not stressful. And they have it set up to where if you fail at this, it's your own fault.
Right.
Well, loyalty and respect is obviously very important to you, and you've developed a relationship and you've come to rely on your service coordinator. Can you tell us more about working with Lee?
Lee is excellent. We can call him, and like I said, he will sit there and he'll talk to me until I feel comfortable and know exactly what path I need to take. He lets me know, hey, Jess, we need to, your fuel cost is a little too high. Let's kind of bring it down, or you did this much this month, or, and it's nice to know that somebody's got my back. And he's been wonderful.
Excellent. Well, Jeff and Jason, you mentioned early on that you want your team to allow contractors to focus on safety and service with confidence that business operations are fully supported. From the ES perspective, what's the job expectation of a service coordinator? Because I know that this relationship has really bloomed for Ken and Jessica with Lee.
Sure, Leah, this is Jason. I think Miss Jessica probably said it better than we could have said it ourselves, is that we want to make sure that there is a comfort level that they can get an answer. And it's trucking, so the variables are endless. It changes sometimes daily. It most certainly changes monthly and yearly. And so the service coordinator is there to be a conduit of data, of maybe analysis. Maybe at times, it's to be a sounding board, to let them call in and kind of, let off steam with them and then give them some feedback. We do know that any small business owner, most fail. It don't matter what industry you're in. The largest portion fail, and a lot of it is just from the emotional stress, the mental stress of trying to do things on your own. And again, Miss Jessica talked to it perfectly, and I'm glad that she's getting that feeling from us and that we've invested in IT and people to allow us to service down to the truck level, to allow somebody in the truck to have good information to make a decision. We don't try to make decisions for people, but we are willing to at times disagree, maybe to argue, maybe to have a hard conversation, or maybe bring up something that's a little sensitive, just to say, let's make sure we're looking at all the facts correctly. And we do have a large community, so we can look at peer groups and say, how do you compare to the peers in the same type of equipment, in the same market, pulling the same freight? Are you within your expense lines? Are you within your revenue lines? Are you doing better? And, hey, can you teach us why you're doing better so we can share that with other people? It's all of that a service coordinator should be doing, sharing data, but then also collecting data in order to share with every other truck. And it breeds a lot of success. And so here within our company, we have a management group, and they all bring their own talents. And I can tell you there's not any one of us who can make a good decision without the others. And at times our industry is set up to tell the owner-operators, you have to succeed or fail on your own, and there's a false expectation that something's wrong with asking questions, or there's something wrong with having a good, hard, confrontational conversation to make a good decision. That's natural. Any good business, Leah, you run your own business, and I know inside of your office y'all have confrontational conversations to drive to a good decision because everybody wants to do what's best for everybody. And we have that kind of open, positive, and negative conversations. And I'm telling you, it really makes me proud to hear Ms. Jessica verbalize that so well that she's received that from start to finish with us.
Hey, and Leah,
Well,
Jeff,
Yep, go ahead.
Just add one more thing. Another thing at the end, we have set our business up so that we work for the owner-operators and the contractors. No one works for us. We work for them. We are a service company, and we've got a mantra of never stand alone, so it is good to hear that Ms. Jessica and Mr. Ken feel they're not standing alone, and then they realize they can reach into our office because we actually work for them. They don't work for us.
All right. It sounds like it's working properly, and Jess, when we're done with this presentation, Lee's going to get some sort of trophy or medal or maybe a little bump somewhere else. We are going to move on to slide 13. I mentioned earlier that I serve on the board of directors of the Women in Trucking Association. My passion for helping fleets grow the percentage of women in trucks and in management goes beyond that, though. It's certainly been impacted, often being the only or one of the few women in the boardroom, and working with companies new each week that say we have fewer than single-digit percentages of women represented at our company. How can we do more? The companies that NTI tracks with the highest percentage of women often offer opportunities to grow, to lead, to team, to prosper, to be entrepreneurs. 38% of the workers that are served by ES are women. That's nearly 4 times the national average, and I think that those numbers tell a story. I want to just launch into that story here. Jessica, Ken, if I were to ask you, and this is a setup here, but who's the boss?
Well, he would say he is if I'm not around, but
I am the boss.
I'm the one that calls the shots.
Hey, she lets me wear the pants when she's not around, okay?
Well, knowing that ES helps nearly 4 times the average industry benchmark of women within the community, does that validate some of the feelings of support and services that you've mentioned, Jessica?
Yes, ma'am, it does. They have been wonderful. There's a lot of times that me personally will go into a shop or into an office or whatever, and I'll say, hey, we got this going on or that, and they look at me, I'm a female, I don't know diddly squat. ES has never made me feel inadequate because I am a female. They listen to what I have to say, and then I get the feedback, what I need. And it makes me feel good that it's not a sexist thing with them. It's a business relationship.
Say, for instance, Celadon had an issue where Jessica will go in and ask questions and stuff. They would turn around, come back, look for me, and ask me the same questions that she was pretty much asking them or trying to explain to them. Finally, I just told them whatever Jessica says, that's what you need to listen to because she's asking the same thing I'm going to tell you to listen to.
Well, it sounds like we can add this to the list of items that are different for you about working with ES. Jason Williams, I'm going to volley it over to you now since we're talking about women in trucking and you and I both serve on the board of directors together. ES partnered with Women in Trucking and has provided ongoing support through the 150 Women-Owned Business Challenge since, I think, 2017. We've discussed previously that men and women each have unique challenges. Can you talk about that and just the Women in Trucking Women-Owned Business Challenge in general for me?
Yes, ma'am. So just from a startup or investment effort, we do know that, again, to Ms. Jessica's point, when women make decisions, and first of all, we were educated in this. You know, you kind of hear things, you read about different stuff. I have a wife, I have daughters, but I'd never seen it just be as blatantly obvious as when you start investing money, that women are more collaborative. They are slower in the data collection. And I don't mean slower being in thought process. I mean in wanting to prove data, wanting to get information, wanting to waive risk, wanting to do all of those things. Whereas men, you can, and, you know, if I offend anybody, you know, I'll offend myself as well. You can challenge a man to toe up and jump in the fight, and with the right salesperson, the right sales tactic, you could get a man to jump on a decision that may or may not be a good decision. And we see that whether it be, you want to call it, you know, a car salesman or a truck salesman or what have you, you can push them into decisions. And so what was really beneficial to us is, and what works so well with women in trucking, is that since we are financing into these trucks and it is a business relationship for the life of that business, we're not a sell you a truck and walk away environment. That's the beginning of a conversation, whether you buy a truck from us or somebody else, or whether or not you take our financing or someone else's. When you come into our community, it is for the life of your business. And, excuse me, so we're trying to help people gather that data and make that decision. And if they need to fix things, fix it before you make the investment. You can, you know, we have a try before you buy, where you can come in and get in a piece of equipment and learn the industry, learn the motor care. Make sure you like that motor care. Make sure you like, is it, you know, on a route, is it over the road, is it local, whatever the case may be. And then with that data, make an investment. And so we found that the environment that we had built in order to help people start small businesses, when we touched women in trucking, we said, you know what, this is just, it wasn't a new effort for us. The 150 Truck Challenge was to be on purpose about helping women know that there was an opportunity. But it is what we do every day. We didn't have to tweak what we do. What we did have to do is on purpose go out and find and put the message in front of women in trucking and let them know that there was somebody here who was not just willing to, but excited, desirous to help them, support them, and give them an opportunity. And Lee, again, it goes across whether it be men, women, races, backgrounds. This is what we do every day. And again, we didn't have to tweak it, but we did have to make sure we got it out there on purpose to put it in front of everybody.
Excellent. I am going to move on to slide 14 and the community of support and services. Jason, while I still have you, you've shared that ES doesn't stop at financing the truck. Ensuring that independent contractors thrive in partnership requires a different set of priorities than it does for company drivers and employees. Can you just talk about why you set up Success in Trucking and why you keep expanding the services?
Yes, ma'am. So we did start out as a kind of a quasi-trucking company, and we very quickly realized that we wanted to be a service provider to others who wanted to have, you know, or start a trucking company. And we have leveraged the buying power of the community and anything that ES is doing at its core corporate efforts in order to make sure we're keeping expenses off the individual truck owners. So, again, whether it's IT, data, whether it's access to good financing with, you know, good terms, they're commercial terms, but it's good terms. It's not anything egregious. Whether it's working with a dealer like Stoops to get a good truck spec and order enough trucks. So this year, I think Nate may correct me, but I think we've identified somewhere around 150 trucks we're bringing in just through the Stoops dealership network this year. Well, when people come in and buy out of our community, they get to buy at the same rate as if they ordered 150 trucks. That's a significant effort. We turn around and we also do that on tires, and we do that with fuel, and we do it with insurance, and all of those things. Some of the recent services, Leah, we've been able to do to try to stay in front of the market, because we know the market's changing. We know this is a very litigious industry. And so it's like whether it be safety training or whether it be legal services or whether it be bookkeeping, you know, most vendors do not want to work with one person, one truck, because it's too costly to bring that customer on and do them a good job. So we're able to identify a service and go to a vendor and say, okay, how would you like the service of, you know, thousands of trucks, and give us a discount on the product, and then we will bring the community to you. And so we're able to bring the vendor and the community together so that a person with one truck or a few trucks gets the same resources that a large corporate organization would have. And I can tell you, having worked and working currently with multiple public companies, our team of talent in this building and our vendors that we brought to the table, those who are on this call, including yourself, Leah, and Nate, and the others who are listed, throughout these slides, I would put our team against any public company. And it doesn't matter who they are or what brand somebody wants to throw on the table. I think we have as good a talent to help drive profits down to the truck as any corporate motor carrier or corporate trucking company in the country. And every individual truck gets to participate in that.
One of the things that strikes me as you're talking about that is something I said early on, which is that you protect your business with people who know your business, and it's not only related to ES and your team. You mentioned the vendors and the other folks that are in the network. It brings to mind so many calls I get when I'm hosting on SiriusXM, where, especially when it comes to the finance, the business establishment components, a lot of the back office support that Ken and Jessica shared with me, they've come to rely on, and it helps them approach their business with such confidence, because those folks don't only know the expertise related to, again, finances, taxes, operations, et cetera, but they also know trucking, and that's kind of unique, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's so being specific to trucking is important, because we do find that when people come in from other industries and they try to do certain things, they can miss it simply because trucking has its own heartbeat, it has its own issues, and you have to be able to know how to operate inside this industry, especially when people, like with insurance, want to try to come in and treat it like a hobby. It's got to be a real effort, and you've got to come in with a real product. We don't allow just any vendor to come into the community. We do vet the motor carriers. We vet, and have vetted the dealership that we do business with. We have vetted all of our vendors, no matter what they supply to our community, and we do that ongoing. So, again, I don't see their brand on here, but, a company that we utilize is WorkHound, and we give that to everybody who comes into our community. We pay for them to have access to a software that goes on their phone called WorkHound, and it allows them to give us instant feedback throughout the day on anything that's going wrong. And we act as an HR function over the whole community. So it doesn't matter, Nate did a great job for this, but if they'd have showed up and let's say Nate was sick and they didn't know who to talk to, they can get us day or night on the phone or through a phone app, again, that we utilize to support and help us make sure that the customer success from beginning to end is there every day. And you do have to be industry specific. This is not, people are betting with their lives. We take it very seriously when somebody like the Horns come in and they trust us enough to bet their time and their energy and their investments to try to start a business. And we expect every vendor to have that same diligence and that same work ethic in order to deliver the service to the truck.
Well, let's talk about the Horns. And to them, Jessica and Ken, you drive like a true team. You have experience. I mean, each of you has over 20 years. You are not new at this. So as you look at the community of support and services that are helping you in your business decisions, what really stands out to you?
It's mainly the fact that they're so willing to jump in with anything. We did have one breakdown, and with the Loves, they had done a PM on our truck, and I did a phone call. Not only was I getting phone calls from ES making sure that we were okay and that everything was set up for us to be taken care of, we were getting phone calls from the higher-ups in Loves because they wanted to make sure we were taken care of. It's this big support because when you're out here and you're 2,000 miles away from home, you need to know you got somebody that's got your back. And to me, they do. I've not had one issue with them. They've always been there. And like I said, it's a 24-hour thing. It's not a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And that's the most important thing I have here. You know, like I said, I have any questions, it's one phone call away from me.
You guys participated in the PTO program. I'll call it the try before you buy, right? That gave you more confidence to make sure you were making a good decision. Did you ever feel pressure to move forward or in your buying experience, whether working through ES or with me?
Not at all.
We started the program in January of last year, and normally they want you to drive 3 months and then you can start the process. Well, we did it for 10 months, and it was funny because listening to the gentleman earlier, I'm the one that had cold feet. I'm the one that wanted to make sure, you know, that we could do this, especially with the pandemic going on. And they never once. I'd call Lee, and it's like, Lee, do we have to do this? Or, you know, are we going to be pushed out? Whatever. No. We're here for you. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to feel secure, and we want you to be able to make good decisions. So not once did we ever feel pressure, and that's what Ken was saying earlier. The stress is not there. They're there to support you. They're not there to put more stress on you.
One of the things that, you know, relates, I think, very closely to stress is how much money you make, right? Not just paying for your new shiny truck, but also paying your bills and feeling confident and no stress related to, you know, your own lifestyle and expenses. And so when it comes to guidance and accounting for your business expenses, you have told me that over the course of 11 years, you often found yourself living week to week. How does that differ from where you're at today? What's life like for you now?
Actually, we've done a 360. I mean, it's wonderful. Because of the program that they set up, and Lee going through every aspect that I needed to do, we just took 2 weeks off. All my home bills are paid and my truck bills are paid because their program put me in a place to where I'm not worried on how I'm going to pay my power bill next week or my truck note. You know, we've been able to pay off extra bills because they taught us and how to separate everything. And Celadon never did that. I'm sorry. We got in some major trouble right before Celadon closed out. We had a transmission go out on our truck that we had to pay for, and we took out a lot of loans. And in this year, we paid off everything that we had that we acquired from Celadon. And like I said, we just took 2 weeks off. And I'm not worried about anything being paid because I have money in my bank because of their program.
Excellent. It sounds like you're able to really focus on delivering freight, which is how we get paid, right? We get paid to deliver, and not on your operational issues or whether or not you're going to get paid, and in turn, if you're going to be able to pay your bills.
Correct.
All right. Well, let's move on to slide 15. You know, we've got a number of questions, and it looks like we've got a couple of minutes to answer them. And so I want to switch gears, and I'm gonna touch on you right away, Jeff. Here, but the ES community provides support and leverage. They provide carrier advocacy, so business owners can focus on generating revenue and not on day-to-day issues. They leverage their experience and contacts to negotiate and make available a variety of other resources and services to their business community. The motto, which Jeff, you shared early on, is that with ES, you never stand alone. So one of the questions that we want to answer here is, how do you get into the program? Jeff, can you just touch on that?
Absolutely. We have a number of ways for entry. So first of all, I would say 877-349-9303 You can hit extension for recruiting or any other extension, and I can assure you that we will welcome you with open arms and give you information that you need. We also have a website. We've got many online applications that you can do if you're in a jammed up for time and you want to set up a time for us to call you. So there's many ways in. You can come in. There's at the entry level. You can come in already owning your truck. You can come in and trying it like the Horns did before they buy to make sure they like us and the motor carrier and the equipment type, and they understand everything. And we can help you with financing if you need so. We base it on attitude, aptitude, work ethic, and work history. There's no person, in my opinion, that we cannot help if they're willing to help themselves. It is not an entitlement program. It is not a free truck program. It is an earn your way to ownership program. But I can tell you that we are very open-armed and thankful for every opportunity we have to support the trucking industry, and we love to help people that have had obstacles and things in their life. There's good people that's dealt with a lot of things, and we've set ourselves up as their advocate and their intercessor and their mediator to help them in trucking to do better and be a success in trucking. Now, Jason wants to add something. He's flagging me down, so he wants to say something.
This conversation can go live over here, Leah, real quick. The thing that I would say is that if there's anybody out there who is in a bad spot, so a lot of times we're thinking about starting a new business, but we also help people turn around what they've already got, and we can assist you with that. So if you're in a spot where maybe your profits aren't what they should be, maybe you're with a motor carrier who is not giving you the ability to operate profitably, call us as well. Sometimes people think that we're just for newbies, and the fact of the matter is we have people who have come here as a driver and now run 80-plus trucks as a fleet owner. So we see the whole gamut. We help some motor carriers, and we service some motor carriers directly and help them operate clean. So there's not too many things we can't do. We really do target on the small, fleet owner, the individual truck owner. So if you are out there and you're having issues, don't think that this is just for startups. We can help you turn it around and take advantage of the freight cycle we're in so you can end the year with profits.
And we're not trying to just sell trucks. We want to create a successful, profitable, safe, small business. We are not about truck sales. Truck sales is just what happens. And we've got Nate there. And so we're for Nate. We want Stoops to sell trucks. We want Freightliner to sell trucks. But that's just a byproduct of helping people. The healthier they are, the healthier the community is, and that is the goal to it. So whether it's good times or bad times, good times, easy times, difficult times, our program is what comes along beside you and helps you be more successful in trucking. We don't take credit for that. We are there to come behind and alongside the contractors and owner-operators and fleet owners to help them shine and help them be successful, to do better for themselves and their families, and that's what it's about. We are for you. Call us, 877-349-9303, ESSuccessiontrucking.com, and I'll give you Jason's cell phone in a minute if you want that.
Well, before you get into that, and yes, let me just say quickly that at the bottom of every screen, y'all have their phone number, their website, and also an email address. So if you want to shoot an email directly, and as I see all of your emails and questions coming in, just know that we'll reach out to you if we don't get to your question today, or if you want someone to reach out immediately, just let us know in that question box. Jessica, did you have something to add?
Yes, one thing I wanted to add to what they were saying, ES also, it's not about your credit rating. It's about your job performance. They go through, as you're going through this program, they want to see how you work. And as long as you work, you don't have to have A1 credit as long as you're willing to get out there. It's like Ken and I got into issues with Celadon, and there was no way we could go buy a truck on our own. ES let us show them we were willing to do the work, and now they're backing us to buy the truck.
Well, Jessica, I want to say thank you for that comment because you lead me right into the next question that I had, and that was the financing. So, Jeff, I know you touched on what you refer to as relationship and, and reputation-based financing. Can you just talk about that really briefly, please?
Yes, ma'am. So there are many people deal with obstacles, and so most lenders want to look at a credit score, Beacon, FICO, whatever you want to call it, whatever nomenclature. But they want to look at that, and if you don't meet a computer-formulated credit model, they don't want to extend credit. And I understand that's their model. That's what they do. We go back, Paul Williams, our CEO, chairman of the board, and one of the co-founders of our company, is now an older man that has lots of experience in banking, and he came up in relationship lending, and he said, we're going to loan money to people because of who they are and because of how they handle themselves. We want to make sure that they've got a good attitude. You got to have a sunshine lead. You got to have it. You want to have good aptitude. We want to make sure that you fully understand how to operate a truck as an operator, but also you've got the mentality to function as a business owner. And that don't mean you have to have it from day one. You can know more than we know. Most of our programs are originated and generated from input, as Jason said earlier, from a melting pot of getting lots of ideas and information from the group and then coming out with a solution to an issue. But you look at your attitude, you look at your aptitude, then as Miss Jessica and Ken said, you look at your work ethic. Are you willing to work? Will you get up and do what's required to do? And then we take that, which we call work history, which is revenue production, and we look at that. And you can take your time to get that down, and we can help you in areas with information, not in mandate, not in oversight, but in support, and help you increase your revenue production if you need that to take place. We take that information with you operating that specific type of truck. As Jason said earlier, we have peer groups. We know what the average fuel cost percentage of top line revenue should be. We know what your R&M should run by truck type, your miles per gallon. All of those things is required because in trucking, pennies make dollars, and you need a bunch of pennies to make a bunch of dollars. So you got to watch those pennies. And we help people do that. And then once we realize that they're in a positive cash flow, then we turn around and we say, hey, we can do this and we can help finance you a piece of equipment if you want to come under our program. We doing it, as Ms. Jessica said and Mr. Ken said, a lot of times with nothing down. We do have some programs with some down payment, but we do some with nothing down, and we give extremely good rates and good terms regardless of the credit module and the credit tool that we use or the finance tool that we use. But everything is done to go into what we call a profit and loss cash flow spreadsheet model, and we'll explain that with you, walk that through to you, and show you what you can make and how you operate and how that fluctuates and changes and everything that's needed. And we have to make sure you're comfortable. Obviously, you're comfortable with the motor carrier, and then we make sure it's a positive cash flow business model, and that's what we base it upon, on the person, not on their credit score. We do look at credit, but credit is just one very small piece of paper inside their file of life. We look at them as a person.
All right, we are at time, but I'm going to combine two questions into one and then ask another question. So we're going to run a couple minutes over, and Ken and Jessica, I know you're under a load, and I hope that you'll just bear with me because I think these are great questions to just wrap up the conversation. Jeff and Jason, when it comes to the folks that are interested, and I'm kind of looking at questions that are flowing in, and they kind of can be summarized in this one question that I'm going to ask you. Between a rookie that would like to become an owner-operator and is either looking at something we've talked about, whether it's pre-owned options or new equipment, to someone that doesn't yet own a truck, hasn't established their business entity yet, but they're looking and they're considering those as their next steps. Are these folks that want to get in touch with you now at the early side of establishing their business? And how can what's that first step for them?
Yes, ma'am, Leah. This is Jason. So absolutely, we like getting started on the front end of the conversation. A lot of times we can at least feed enough data and experience from, other peers in order to allow them to have good information to make decisions, whether that's, they are sole proprietorship, an LLC, do they incorporate some other way, what state are they domiciled in? There's lots of things. It is a business. And so when you get into that side of it, there's things that we can do, give them a lot of access to experts, some of those in our office, some of them not in our office, vendors that we can put them in touch with. And so just to make sure that they're getting started on a, good footing. Now, as far as getting in touch with us, if they'll reach out to the numbers that are listed and through the website, this is what we do every day. And don't be bashful. Don't feel awkward. Ask every question. And whether or not you have, this is your second or third go around and maybe it didn't work before, maybe it did and you got out and you want to get back in, or if this is your first time, it doesn't matter. We'll get started. We'll give you all the tools that we have access to, and then we'll turn around and support you wherever you want to support it. Some people like us heavily involved. Some people really just want us to give them access to tools and then let them, go out and use them and then come back when they need it. We do work for you the way Jeff says, so we won't drive the conversation. You'll drive it. So don't be afraid to start it. And you can always stop it. There's no commitments. So when you come in, if you want to try before you buy, they're walkaways. This is not, you're not signing in blood. If you come in, you find out 30 days later you don't like, me, you may not like Jeff. It's just return the truck and go do something else. That's fine. We're okay with that. We want you comfortable. And so we do want to create the environment where you can ask open questions. Sometimes it's very private. Sometimes people have some history that Jeff's speaking to where they've come through, family transitions, whether it be divorces or whether it be deaths in the family. And they come with baggage like we all do. And that's part of it. This is not a credit-based decision. This really and truly is a community that we want you to come in, get your feet underneath you, get comfortable, and then make a decision, do you or do you not want to run a small business in trucking? And are we or are we not the ones that you want to work with to do that? And it'll be your decision.
Hey, and Leah, this is Jeff. Just to add to that, I think now is the time, and I think we are the place, and this is the place. So, and when Jason's talking about a walkaway, I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. That's exactly right. Try it before you buy it. But after you buy it, then we're married. Okay? So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. But it is definitely, we want to make sure you're comfortable before you say, I do at the office.
That's right. We may believe in love at first sight. We do practice courtships. We believe in getting to know each other. So.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I was interviewed by Transport Topics earlier today, and they likened what I was recommending that companies do a better job of in the marketplace, in relationship to professional drivers as nurturing a marriage. So that you guys tied it all together well. I do want to tell you that as identified by one of the ES motor carrier partners and now echoed by Jeff just ahead of me, now is the time. And we've discussed at length today why this is the place. We want to thank you for attending. If you're not currently in touch with us, there are a variety of ways here that you can be. And in addition to that, by registering with us today, we will automatically remind you of upcoming events, including next in our Insight 2021 series, Start Your Own Trucking Business, where the rubber meets the road. ES hopes that you'll take the time to join their community in a variety of ways. And ultimately, first and foremost, get in touch and stay in touch. In the meantime, stay safe, well, and connected, as with ES, you never stand alone. Have a safe day, everyone.
You too.